Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the Gnarly Gnome. This is called the Weekly Pint. It's the show that's it's not a show. It's let's just always put it out there now. To heck with it. I have no idea what the internet is going to do because the last couple weeks it's been really rough, and I blame Spectrum. That's the only thing I can come up with to blame is just crappy internet. So hopefully tonight runs a little better. So far, so good. We are 2 minutes and 17 seconds into this, and things are looking great. So we're gonna think positive, but still, it's not a show, so it doesn't matter. So even if all hell breaks loose, we're fine with it, right? It's a happy hour. It's an excuse for us all to sit down and hang out together and have a drink together, which brings up a really great point that you guys should tell me what it is that you're drinking, because that's the whole point of this thing, is just to drink together. Let's see. Jumping into it. Let's see. Marco's having psychopathy. Caroline is watching Elliot. That is not a drink. That's fine. You could at least have a glass of water or something like that. Josh is having a Bodhi. Just finished a Bodhi. That doesn't count if you already drank it. You're not drinking it now. Opening a Gill, that is the German Irish lager from Westside, and having a small glass of Sunshine Punch. Man, that stuff is so good. I don't have any Sunshine Punch here, but I think I need to get some because that was really, really good. And with the weather today and how things are kind of going for most of the week, I guess this weekend it'll get cold again, but the weather this week makes me want to drink a Sunshine Punch. Let's see. Zach says... to Marco, I read this as a psychopath. Lol. Well, I mean, Marco is a bit of a psychopath also, so that's they're around sometimes when we do these shows. There's psychopaths involved. Let's see. Julia is having an Urban Artifact Cappy Snacks. I still have not tried it. I'm on the fence whether I'm going to like it or not, but I'll definitely try it, and I'll talk to you guys about it when I do. Hopefully soon. I need to actually get over there and pick up some orders that I've got sitting just on the shelf. So when I do that, we'll maybe get some Cappy Snacks. Let's see. Zach Holly says, I'm having the new Urban Artifacts small batch lemon ice, thanks to trade with Elijah Moreland, the subject of everybody's podcast this week. It's been all Elijah all week. Let's see. Marco says that Rachel is here, not drinking yet. Zach says that it's so good, it tastes just like an Italian lemon ice. That sounds good to me. Again, mine are sitting on a shelf. I still have not got them. Robert says it's darn good. Caroline says Elliot is drinking milk and she is drinking water. There we go. That's acceptable. Elijah says I'm a busy man. It's just funny how it all kind of happened all at the same time. I don't have a drink in front of me yet. We got to remedy that because, again, if it's a happy hour, we both have to drink. All of us need to drink together. And I have an empty glass ready to go. We got to do something about these stupid emojis. I didn't do the thumbs up. There it is. It's all right. We'll give it one just to make it happy. Oh, there we go. Are you happy, internet? I got a glass ready to go. Is Marco says drink again? Oh, is this a new drinking game? I actually put notes. I recorded an episode of Cincy Brewcast today, and in my notes I prepared for a drinking game, and it was not emojis, although there might have been some. I wasn't really paying attention, which is funny. And my drinking game was not the emojis. It was something different that now I'll just have to incorporate into other shows. Anyways, empty glass, ready to go. Craggy Brewing Company. If you guys didn't ever get to go there, they were located in Asheville. I believe, if I remember right, Zach says, do you still do the live hotline? Maybe. I'm not sure if it works, but I'll put the number up here in a second. And if it does, then yeah, we can do it tonight. Craggy Brewing Company, their location, I believe, if I remember correctly, was where Highwire went. And it was a really long time ago that I was there, but here's their glass. We're going to crack open. It's sitting right there. I shouldn't, act like I'm trying to make a decision. Although I could dive into the fridge if you guys want me to, but I just, as I was walking into the studio, opened up the main beer fridge, and this little guy was just peeking at me, and I just really wanted to drink another one. Fish logs. Should I drink fish logs, or should I dive into this fridge and drink something that's old? Because I'm pretty sure everything in here is old. The Northeast Ohio Craft Brewery News says, dive, dive, dive. Elijah says fish logs. I need one more vote to even it out here. Do I go into the fridge or... Zach says, can you dive into the fridge? I need visuals of the beer fridge. I can't really give visuals easy because the fridge is pretty stable. I can't really pick it up. Everybody says dive into the fridge. All right. Do I go... Okay, there are... It's like a skinny fridge. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 5. I'm going to say 5 rows wide. And I'm going to pick from like the middle shelf. So pick row 1 through 5, and then we'll say 1 through 4 back on that row. The first person that says, and I need 2 numbers, width, depth. Marco says the video on YouTube is messing up. That, I don't know why. It shouldn't be. All right. Elijah says, okay, Caroline, okay. We got 3, 2, a 3. All right. I'm gonna now it's very confusing. All right. So I'm gonna go the first 2 numbers. Elijah said 5. Caroline said 3, 2. So I'm gonna go 5, 3. All right, hang on. I'm gonna go row 5, 3 back. Let's see what it is. I can almost promise you that it's gonna be something Urban Artifact. That's what most of this is. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Not even Urban Artifact. This is like one of the few beers in here that is not Urban Artifact, and this is not one that you should be drinking if it's not fresh, because it's an IPA. Let me see. Also not dated. All right. Yeah, they don't date these at all. This is Narrow Path. This is Ghost Railroad. Really, really good beer. All right, we'll see. This is their rotating series. Tasting notes just say, intense hop aroma, tropical citrus, juicy, fresh, New England IPA. And beyond that, I have no idea which version this is or when it was brewed. So, fingers crossed. If it's bad, we'll just pretend it's not because it's a good beer. Looks like a beer. So far, so good. Shout out to Craggy for not existing anymore. Let's see. Elijah says the only IPA did not drink fresh is 120 minute, and it's practically an American barley wine anyway. Yeah, that's that beer's, it's still fun fresh. It's fine, but it gets way better when you just kind of let it calm down a little bit. Zach wants to know if I know when the new Voodoo Brewery in Westchester is opening. I don't. They have not even announced that it exists yet. In fact, the last time I saw some of the ownership around town, because they are kind of around town here and there, especially with all that's happening with Voodoo, they made it very clear that we're not supposed to talk about it existing yet. So I don't know. There is an Instagram page now, so I guess we're okay to talk about the fact that it's there, and they have signs up. So I don't know. We'll see. Josh says, "My goodness, you all need a bottle of the Sunshine Punch. It is so good." And Caroline wants to know if Josh delivers. All right, we're gonna dive into this. This is Ghost Railroad from Narrow Path. Let's see. Yeah, it's still. Zach says, even though there's a sign out front, it was a little while since I saw him, but Yeah, this still smells just fine. Smells like an IPA. Mm. The first rule of the new Voodoo location is that there is no new Voodoo location. Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like to me. But I'm gonna if I'm gonna guess when the new Voodoo location is opening, I'm going to say this spring. I mean, and it's all kind of dependent on construction. The good thing about this location is that it's a bar, it's a tap room. Like there's no brew house, there's no you don't have to go through all of those licensing issues that some of them have to go through. It's in an existing bar location, so I assume it's just kind of carry over from that. It should be pretty simple. 2 months, 2 months from Tuesday. All right, I gotta drink this. Zach wants to know if Voodoo is becoming Fight Club. Something like that. Yeah, it's still drinking good. That's a good beer. Yeah. I really wish I would have known what the date on this was, because that is still drinking good. And it has to have been in there for a long time. It was hiding in there. Great beer. If you guys haven't been to Narrow Path, obviously go to Narrow Path because they make great beer. I should be at Narrow Path in the coming month or so. They should hopefully make a little appearance in a video that I'm working on, or will be working on, in the next month or so. Oh, top secret though. I can't talk about it. Everything's top secret right now because that's how my life goes, which we'll talk about. But first, I do want to talk about what I've been drinking this week, because there's been some really good stuff. It's the best things I've drank this week, which kind of has a Braxton twist, because within the last couple days I've had a few Braxton beers that really they were good. Some of them were better than I remembered. Both of them were better than I remembered, and then one of them kind of had me thinking about some stuff. Zach wants to know, what are my thoughts on the Moe's from The Simpsons pop-up in Loveland happening during Valentine's Day weekend? It's funny you should mention that. I will have thoughts somewhere around that time about it. I don't know. I've seen some pictures of previous pop-ups, and some of them kind of look stupid. But I'm a huge Simpsons fan, so we'll see. I will go and I will test it out, and I will let you guys know. So the best things that I've been drinking, or the best things I've drank, it starts out with Storm. I have not had a Braxton Storm in a very long time, and we were down at Yard House this weekend, unintentionally at Yard House. We had full intention to go to Moorline. That's usually our go-to if we are down at the banks and we want to grab some dinner. And we had a huge group of us that just kept getting bigger by the minute once we got there. We kept getting text messages, people saying, we're coming too. So eventually our group got to the size. We're like, this just isn't going to work. There's nowhere we can all sit somewhere and eat dinner together. So Moorline was packed, and there was no way that we were going to get seated there. So we said, that's fine. Let's go over to Yard House, and they were able to get us in as a couple different tables, 3 different tables. But Julia says that exists in reference to fresh Tropic Flare. They brew it twice a year, guys. Just let it go. Everybody let it go. They brew Tropic Flare twice a year. If you want it fresh, get it when they brew it. If you don't, wait until they brew it next time. And surprise, surprise, it's really not that bad if it's not super fresh. Much like this beer, this holds on just fine. I would argue, and I'm getting off topic, I would argue Tropic Flare and a lot of beers like it are probably good for a few months after they were brewed. They might change a little bit. They might be a little bit different, but they're fine. This whole idea that you have to drink something super fresh is a little bit overplayed, especially with a brewery that has good brewing practices. And I would put Braxton up in that category of a brewery that has great brewing practices. Zach wants to know if I'm still banned from Hofbrauhaus. That is a big question. And Julie wants to know what we're supposed to complain about. I'll answer the Hofbrauhaus question in just a minute after I finish my what I've been drinking. I got to talk about this storm. So we were down at Yard House, and I got a half yard of Storm, which is already disappointing in itself that you can't get a full yard of beer down there. Although my kids still thought it was funny to see me drinking out of my half yard, I would have much rather had a full yard just for video purposes. But I got Storm, and I was kind of blown away by how good it was. I've had plenty cans of Storm or pints of Storm in bars over the years, and just completely forgot how delicious it was. So that one kind of surprised me, and in a good way. There was also a beer that I had this week, which I'm really hesitant to call out because I like them a lot, and I know I know they're working their butts off to make things happen, and I drank their beer, and it was horrible. It was really bad, and I think. I don't know how deep I want to go into this, but I think that it's not a good sign of where they're headed. Marco says, I had a yard or half a yard when they were crazy busy one day, and there was no room for me to lift my beer. Yeah, it's a half yard. Like it's like, I mean, it's a half a yard. It's what, a foot and a half of beer? Like they're these big mugs, which are already like humorous, but I want full, like I want 3 feet of beer so that I have to like hold it by 2 hands and get this big kind of that's funny. And my kids would have laughed at that. Marco says do it. No, we're gonna move past it. I'm not talking about them. Maybe if you see me out drinking in the next day or so and you ask me when there's not something recording me, maybe I'll tell you who it was. I will if we're not being recorded. Because I like them and I want everybody to succeed, and I'm upset when I see people kind of doing things the wrong way. One thing that another Braxton beer that did surprise me, a kind of Braxton beer. I had a garage beer for the first time since this whole kind of ownership shift. I had one right after that, and this is I think the first one I've had since then. And was kind of surprised that I enjoyed it. It was also coming off of that previous not great beer, so maybe it was just kind of the juxtaposition between that and this, which I think is actually what I wrote in my tasting notes. I think, how did I word it? Let's see. It says, hell, maybe coming off of that blank beer, anything would have been great. That is a direct quote from my notes. It was a fine beer. It was exactly what kind of a light, kind of crispy beer was supposed to be. And the interesting thing with it was that it was listed on the menu as garage beer from Columbus, Ohio. And this is something that nobody's talking about. And I know that the company is located in Columbus, and I get that. However, everything that we've been told and everything that has been communicated to us as drinkers is that garage beer is brewed by Braxton still. They don't own the company, but they brew the beer. Clearly, that is no longer the case for at least some of the beer. And nobody's talking about it, and it still is important to me as a drinker to know where my beer is coming from. Columbus, Ohio is where this beer was coming from. Now, I don't know. I mean, I do, but I don't know for a fact. I do where it's being brewed. But maybe also this spring, one of the top secret projects that a lot of you know about, we'll go explore there, and we'll drink some beer at this mystery location where this beer might or might not or is being brewed, and we'll talk about this place and what they're doing and their role in this whole craft beer thing that's happening. I don't know. Well, that's as that's as cryptic as we'll get with that part. But yeah, just pay attention to social media. Let's see. Zach says, "Yo, Gnome, we still need to make a trip out to Alematic Artisan Ales, especially since they just had a 5-year anniversary this weekend. I do need to get out there sometime. However, there's a lot of things I need to do." Caroline says maybe they need more volume or they hope to sneak it through. Yeah, but I think there's both of those statements are true. They need more volume. Braxton obviously can't keep up with the volume that Garage Beer is doing, which is great. And Garage Beer is still growing like a crazy amount. They're selling a ton of Garage Beer and still trying to enter new markets and keep growing. That means that somebody needs to keep up with that volume. So yeah, they're definitely contracting it somewhere else. I guess technically they're contracting it with Braxton, but they're also contracting it somewhere else. And whoever that is, they are not talking about the fact that they are contracting it there out loud. But it's in Columbus, and I'm sure they're good brewers. Dog. Oh Lord, we can turn on the drunk line if you guys want to call in and have your thoughts, if it works. 567-70 drink if you want to call in. I assume it's gonna work. I'm not sure though. I'm fairly certain that I'll be able to hear you when you call in, but I'm gonna say 44% sure that you'll be able to hear me if you call in. We'll see. Still working on a few things with the setup here. Swapping out pieces of tech. I know I've probably talked about this on the show before, but it's an interesting thing that I don't know if everybody realizes, that a big reason that this show exists is just to try new things, especially technology-wise. Like I've got this weird studio built here that has like very kind of swappable parts, so that if I want to try a new piece of tech, I just plug it in here and I try it here on this show and see how it works with a live show. Why not? And part of that is happening right now. We have some tech swaps, and I think there's going to be another one here in the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I think I'm going to swap that interface out for something that actually might be a little more permanent than what we've had. You guys don't care. There's a pile of stuff over here of just things that I keep swapping out week after week just to try them out to see what works the best for this setup here. Eventually, I mean, why not? This is not a show, so we can talk about whatever. Eventually, the idea is down here in the basement at the bar. Caroline says, at least we understand. We're understanding if and when it goes sideways. That's half the fun, isn't it? And Julia says, I care. I like the geeky side of things. Well, I'm trying some Mackie gear is the next experiment. I'm going to try a couple different Mackie mixers, and there's some like things that are built specifically for streaming, some really small kind of setups that I want to try down here. Eventually, the goal is that some of you have been here in the basement in the Gnarly Gnome Tavern, and you've seen kind of the way the setup is. So I can kind of explain a little bit. If you haven't been here, it's not going to make a lot of sense. There's the studio, which is here, what you're looking at. This way, like behind you guys, out there is where the main bar is. And so there's the bar, which you've seen in videos where I'm behind the bar. That is a whole separate kind of, obviously, shooting area that has some lights and stuff by it. And then kind of across from that, so over here behind you guys, There's a right now there's a couch there with a little coffee table. Eventually, that'll be a couple chairs, which will be another spot to shoot different types of content at. Then, on the far end of the room, way behind you guys, there's a stage, which is currently and will always be a spot to play music. Obviously, it's what you do on a stage, or I guess you could tell jokes or dance, or what else do you do on a stage? I don't know. Shadow puppets? I'm not sure, but any of that is acceptable there. You could, in theory, shoot things there, and then across from that, in the other corner, all the way down at that end of the basement. Currently, there is just a shelf with a bunch of records on it, and my record player and all that sits down there. All of that is going to move into my office, which is that way in the basement, in a different room over there. That, not that, that corner, I'm going to build a kind of a big table with a booth and some fun decorations and stuff. And that'll eventually become the primary spot that I shoot most of the content down here in the basement is way over there at kind of a booth with a big table. So the reason I say all of that is that all of these different spots will hopefully be easily wired up for different streaming setups where you just kind of plug a camera in and maybe hook a couple mics up. They might already be pre-wired with mics just in different parts of the basement that from here I can just flip them on and hit go and we'll be fine. I'm not sure exactly, but that's part of the reason that I'm trying different pieces of tech just to see the best way to make all of that happen. And I don't want to have to keep using. So this is the mixer I've always used down here, which is great, but it's way too much for this little streaming setup. It's just way too much. I think this is going to eventually make its way over to the stage, I think. I don't know. Just making it up as I go along, guys. That's half the fun of it, is just trying new things. Julie says, Rode. No, that's another Zoom product. That's the Live Track. No, yeah, it's the Live Track. I think it's called Live Track. Yeah, that's the Live Track L8. That's. I don't know. I might try some Rode stuff. I don't know yet. Zach says, you are live on YouTube too, right? Yes, I am. I'm live on, currently we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I think, is all we're live on currently. I believe. I don't know. I know we're not on Twitch right now. That's the one that I make sure that I always turn off. Julia says, Marco, that's what we're getting next. It's way, way overkill. I love that thing. If like you're doing like an actual like live show to an audience with like speakers set up and all kinds of stuff, it's really, really cool. Caroline says, no fun Twitch bots. Nope, not tonight. The Live Track, like you can do separate mixes for each set of headphones, which is really, really cool, especially when you start, if you're doing, a band and things like that, you can set up a different mix for the drummer versus your guitar player versus the actual thing that's being recorded versus the actual thing that's actually streaming. Zach says, what's the YouTube username? The Gnarly Gnome. That's TheGNARLYGNOME. The Gnarly Gnome. Zach did ask a question earlier. He wants to know if I'm still banned from Hofbrauhaus. I don't really know legally how that works. My legal team is actually working on some expungement stuff to get all of that removed from the record, which I need to talk to them, but I'm pretty sure that will take care of any banning from any premises that exists. Truth Beer Pod on X says, Twitter fan here. Great show. Then we'll talk about it soon. I think we'll talk about it soon. Shout out to Truth Beer Pod. You didn't used to be able to actually comment when you got on with Twitter. This new thing where you can comment from Twitter is actually kind of great. I love it. Shout out to Twitter. Can you stream to Threads? I don't think so. You can. I could set it up to stream to Instagram, but Instagram still doesn't like horizontal video. They want everything to be vertical still, which I get. It's the platform, but I can't, without setting up a second camera, I can't think of a good way to do that, and I don't really want to deal with that. So you got to deal with Twitter for now. So Hofbrauhaus. Technically, I believe, on paper, through Campbell County, I believe, yes, I am still banned from Hofbrauhaus. All right, we got a phone call coming in. All right, let's see if we can get this to work with. Oh, never mind, it went away. Whoever that was, call back because number one, we gotta test some tech. Here it comes. All right, let's try this. And you're on a Weekly Pint. Who is this?
Hey, no, what's up? It's Zach. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, it works. Can you hear me okay, Zach?
Hey. Yeah, that's why I wanted to have you on YouTube so I can use my phone and still watch you at the same time.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, nothing much. I just wanted to say, hey, it's been a while since I've called in. I will say tomorrow is a big adventure for me. I turn the big 40 tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
So my birthday. Yeah, so that's the big birthday thing going on. And so nothing too much is crazy beer-wise is going on, unfortunately, this year, except for I am meeting up with my family. And my wife is going to surprise me with Limp Bizkit concert tickets because we're going in Indianapolis.
It doesn't sound like it's much of a surprise.
Well, see, originally she goes, do you want to be surprised with the ticket, or do you want to be surprised or not surprised? And I was like, well, just go ahead and tell me. And so it's not until July, but they're playing in Indianapolis, and Limp Bizkit has always been on my bucket list. But that's besides the point. I know it's not talking about beer.
That's all right.
But I did want to give a good shout out to my good buddy Blake for doing a lot of good things recently with his Blake Brew Explorer. Well, now it's the Brew Explorer podcast, and I noticed that you were on there not too long ago, which was a really fun video watch with him and Noah.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They're great guys. And I wanted to give him a big shout out because he's doing like big things for being a first podcaster with only I think 10 episodes, maybe 11. He's interviewed a lot of big names.
Yeah.
So
how are you feeling about turning 40? How's that mentally? How are you doing with that?
Mentally, I really don't feel it, but as far as my body goes, I'm feeling it anymore. I feel like I'm like, oh man, I'm coming home from work and like my back is sore. I'm like, oh man, my arm, like lately, I'm like, I work in a warehouse, so I'm lifting stuff.
Right.
So my right arm is like, oh my God, man, I didn't know it didn't bend that way. Or when I'm walking down our stairs, my knee is like, But see, I'm still trying to play with my daughter because my daughter turns 2 next month too. So
right.
Like I'm always trying to run around with her and stuff like that and go outside, especially since it's been so nice. So this is definitely some beer weather for all those IPAs and Berliners and stuff. I just actually had a street side, what was that, lemon, John Lemon blueberry one? I've never had it, surprisingly enough, until this weekend, and it's really good.
Yeah, so I also turned 40 this year. This is
oh, no way.
Yeah, so it's been something that's been on my mind because people keep asking me, you're getting old, and how do you feel about it? And I've not hit that point. Like so far everything is holding up with the old body, and nothing hurts yet.
Yeah.
Nothing isn't working properly. But it freaks me out to think about that day where you wake up and like something that hurts that isn't supposed to hurt. And so far I still feel young and virile.
Well, the thing that scares me the most is, like, I'll be honest, the older you get, you do start to have to worry about your body. So whenever you're talking about, like, drinking beer like us guys, we're getting those beer dad guts, right? And so, therefore, you're like, oh, man, like, am I
I'm ripped. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know what? I guess you should ask your wife how ripped you are, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I still love his six pack of beer, not his stomach." No, just kidding.
My wife would never say
But
that.
no, I know she'll probably look at you like, "What are you doing?" Like, you know those
If she
moments
said that,
like
I'd
when
push her
you're
down the
married.
stairs. So I mean, it works.
Oh my God! Oh, you guys heard it first. So if this turns into another podcast about murder, no, just kidding.
Yeah, it's. I
Just
think it's
kidding.
trending right now.
You know,
I think true crime is still popular. So either way,
yeah, it's actually, well, no, it really is. I mean, you got those shows like, well, I mean, you got those fun shows like Only Murders in the Building or
that's
something
right.
like that. That's
Yeah,
actually a good show. Just, I mean, and those people making podcasts about like, oh, this happened. I can't get into that stuff on Netflix or any of that stuff. But going back to being 40 and stuff like that, maybe that should be our next content, because we were talking about trying to get together and record a podcast, and that's been a while, and maybe we could talk about the 40 Club and beer or something,
yeah.
something that deals with being 40 years old and being old and dad and all that other. I mean, I can't say anything because you have like what, 2 or 3 kids
So I
now,
got
or
2 kids.
something? Is it 3 kids?
Two. And
2 kids. Okay.
Elijah just commented, and he said he's at 40, he's as healthy as ever, and he's got 2 kids too. It's.
You know,
I think kids.
go.
It's gonna seem strange, but I think kids keep you young. They sometimes will make you feel old,
Yeah,
but they keep you young. I mean, you have to be active. You have to keep moving around, and kids
Oh, especially.
kids do that even if you don't want them to.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I think that's more of my wife. My wife's like, "Oh, your daddy's going to do that. I'm not going to be doing that." Like, she'll dance around and stuff with her, but like there'll be things that I do. I'm like, "Oh, let's go run around or go outside a lot." And like, so I'm the guy always trying to be as active as I can. And you know, Elijah's always done pretty well. His kid's I think 3 years old. And the one thing that's most exciting about being 4 years old is being able to, I mean, well, having a kid is, with her being 2 years old and getting older, is introducing her to all the stuff that we loved as a kid. Like, for example, if I'm like, "Oh, I love the Ninja Turtles from the 80s or old movies or anything like that." Like, I mean, she's not attentively watching that stuff yet, but like that moment in time when she's able to be like, "Oh, I like that too, Dad," or "I like the Packers too, Dad," or what kind of football game it is, or
Just
taking her to a first
wait till she
baseball game.
decides that she hates it because you love it.
Oh, I know, right? My wife is like, "What if she doesn't like football?"
Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes
then
my
maybe,
kids, I'll turn a game on TV and they'll walk in. Who are we rooting for? And I'll tell them who we're rooting for, and they're like, "Okay, I'm rooting for the other team."
yeah.
Like, "Are you little shit?"
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Well, usually my daughter right now, all she says is football.
Yeah.
Football? That's all it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing to end the subject, because I don't want to keep your listeners too long, because I tend to ramble a lot. But I will say that, well, first of all, shout out to Elijah for all his popularity this week, by the way, and all the podcasts, because that makes for good content.
Sure.
Because I've listened to most of them that he's been listed on. 2 is just imagine the first time you'll be able to have a beer with your kid. Though that's going to be awesome, right? I mean,
Well,
I don't know how old we'll be, but
I can tell you how old I was the first time I had a beer with my kids, because both of them have stolen beers. So it was.
They're like, "Oh, Dad, this has juice in it." Oh no,
Yeah.
not that kind of juice.
Yeah, both my
I
kids
mean,
at some point grabbed one. What was the
Well, I
question?
never had a story with my dad or anything like that had a beer, because he didn't really drink beer like that. I mean, he kind of drinks a little bit of craft beer here and there. But did you ever have a story with your dad? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
"Hey, what was the first time we had a beer together?"
yeah, the first beer that I ever had with my dad was a Stroh's. That was my dad's drink, and he was never a big beer drinker. But every once in a while, if it was a long day, or if did a bunch of yard work or something, he'd come in the house, and he had this really cool Pilsner glass that sat in the back of the cabinet that he would pull out just when he was going to have a beer.
Awesome.
And he'd pull this Pilsner glass out, and he'd get himself a Stroh's out of the fridge and pour it in there. And I can definitely remember that first day that he poured himself a beer and sat down and looked at me and he said, "Oh, you probably want one too." And I said, "Yes, I do." And so we sat and had a beer together. I remember that. But then once I was a little bit older and I started actually drinking beer, I can remember that time where he kind of, I drove up there one time, and as he lived up north, and drove up there, and we went out for pizza one night, and we were getting ready to head back to the house, and he's like, "Oh, I don't really have any beer in the house. Do we need to stop somewhere?" I said, "Yes, we do." And he's like, "Where do we go to get that kind of beer?" So we had to
Oh,
kind of
that's awesome.
explain. I
But
don't
yeah,
know. I don't live here. I go. We got to find a store. We figured it out.
I'm sure we'll all tend to make our own stories because I just know a lot of people have certain stories, and I'm sure Elijah, since he's watching now too, he'll remember the first time he has a beer with his kiddo and
Yeah,
stuff, or at least his son. But
it's gonna be so different, I think, for everybody that's listening to this, all of our kids, because beer is
yeah,
such a huge part of who we are, the people that are hanging out and listening to this show.
yeah,
It's just gonna be part of kind
and
of normal life. Like I don't know that my kids are gonna remember the first beer that they have with me because it's always just kind of there. It's
yeah,
not. It won't be a special occasion. It'll be just kind of the way it is. It's just we've always kind
yeah.
of they're
I
always
just
sipping on things and sticking their fingers in beers and trying stuff, and like, that's it.
I just hope I'm just hope that a lot of the breweries that we have today don't end up closing up. I hope there's a brewery that stays
Well,
open for a long time. I don't know what brewery that's gonna
yeah,
be,
they'll be
but I
around. I mean,
mean,
some of the places that are around, Rheingeist is not going to close. Madry's not going to close.
oh, that
There's
sure,
places
sure,
that'll be around. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be some places that ownership changes, some places that close, some
sure.
places that maybe close and then the brand gets bought by somebody else and reopened, and it's evolution.
It's just one of those things that I get so scared about because people are saying there's craft beer dying. Because sometimes
Yeah.
people say that, like when you see some of these places dying, and you're like, oh, well, it's super popular at one point, but then it's not at the other point, and then it ends up just dying. I mean, that's a whole different
Yeah,
story,
you
something
got to
else to talk about at a different time.
know when to listen to people and when to not. And there's a lot of people that also think that there's dogmen running around in the woods, and they're not. So we're
Big,
we're okay.
Dogman or Bigfoot?
Both. Neither one exists.
Because it's like, I don't know what a dogman is.
You've never heard about dogmen? Yeah. Spend your night tonight
No.
diving into YouTube looking up dogmen. It's pretty fun. It's as good as Bigfoot.
All I've heard is Bigfoot and and what's that movie? The Thin Man or Stretch Man, the black
Oh
guy.
yeah,
I don't know.
the
It's some horror movie with that.
what is that guy? The somebody will chime in here. Julia, what's
Yeah,
the
damn.
the
What's the
guy?
name?
He's big and tall and skinny. He's always wearing a suit, right?
Yeah, it's all black. They
Yeah, I
made
know.
a movie about him.
I
It's
know
like
who
a
you're
stick
talking
figure.
about. I don't even think that's Julia says Slender Man. That's it.
Slender Man. That's
Slender
it.
Man.
That's it. She's right. It was Slender Man and there was a movie called The Mothman Prophecies. I remember that was a
Oh,
big thing too.
let's
That
not.
weird.
Mothman is real. Let's not even dive into that. Mothman is 100% real. And you know what?
Actually,
I would say, Marco says, remember when clowns were in the woods back in 2019 or 2020? I do.
oh, I do.
Bigfoot,
I remember.
I think Bigfoot did exist. I just don't think Bigfoot has existed for a very long time. Is my stance on Bigfoot. Elijah wants to comment about a Loveland Frogman. Also a great story. It was
Frogman.
an iguana. You've never heard about the Frogman? Oh, geez. Okay, so
Well, the
back
only frog.
no, so back in like it was like the 50s or the 60s. There was a cop that was driving through Loveland, and he came around a corner, and his report that he wrote up said that there was a large frogman, a man frog thing that was standing in the road as he came around the corner, that looked at him and then it jumped over the guardrail and ran down through the woods down to the river. And then, like a week later, somebody else saw the frogman, and like another cop, I think, and shot him or something. And then they never found this frogman. Supposedly, people say that it was some like escaped iguana or something that could, I guess, walk on hind legs.
Wow.
Either way, I think Frogman is real too. I like Frogman. I love cryptids.
This sounds like a series of those urban artifact beers that came out for Halloween.
Oh yeah, no, both of those. Yeah, Frogman was definitely one of those, right? Frogman was one of the. They were the seltzers.
I think so.
I think the cans are sitting around here somewhere.
Elijah would know this.
Yeah, Elijah would definitely know.
I remember all those little. Those were. I've never heard the story.
There was
so that's
Frogman and Mothman were both part of the seltzer pack. And both not something to joke about. Mothman protects us. He tells us when things are going to go wrong.
You know what? I never heard that. I mean,
yeah, he shows up before like a big kind of disaster that's about to happen.
Yeah, I think I do remember seeing that. See, I mean, all I remembered is I think Richard Gere was in that movie, and it
Yeah,
was based off a true story. That's
yeah,
all I remember.
yeah. So it happened.
And then
If
there's so
you
many stories
if
like
you
that.
head all the way east in Ohio, like way down to the like kind of the corner there where Ohio and West Virginia hit, there's a bridge across the river called the Silver Bridge. It's now called the Silver Memorial
Hmm.
Bridge because the original Silver Bridge was
Okay.
that bridge in the movie, and uh, I guess like a month or two before the bridge collapsed, people started seeing this Mothman, this big kind of moth creature that was flying around
Hmm.
town and freaking everybody out. And then the bridge collapsed, and people say that he was trying to warn people about the bridge collapsing. Yeah. Well, other people say he shows up at other places around the world when things are about to go wrong. There's been a lot of sightings of him in Chicago
Okay.
for some reason too. Lots of weird stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Cincinnati has so much history. We don't have just beer history; we have ghost stories too. I mean, I live in Colerain area, and there's like some road around here, like Lake Road, or something about where people have seen so many like crazy things at the end of a road, dark at night, things happen, people
Yeah.
being decapitated. I don't know. There's been so
Yeah.
many stories, but we don't just have fun beer history. We also have good ghost stories too, I guess.
Yep. Rod J. Beer
Bad
Ventures is
frogmen.
on YouTube, and he says he went to school at West Virginia University. He says many people in Appalachia remember when that happened. I agree with that. I grew up there in Hurricane in West Virginia, and there were it's right outside of where all of that happened. Right outside of the kind of the Nitro area of West Virginia, and there's definitely a lot of people that take Mothman very, very seriously over there. he's not like
Well, I'm sure.
it's not like like a monster that's like attacking people. Like a lot of people see Mothman as like this kind of guardian angel almost. Like it's pretty weird. Yeah, I love Mothman.
Almost like Jesus and
And
I'd say just
I wouldn't
like
go as far as
Jesus in the
Jesus, but
toast.
I wouldn't go
No,
that
I was
far.
gonna say Jesus in the toast.
No,
In the
it's
toast. Remember when people said they saw Jesus in toast?
yeah, but was he? What was he doing in the toast? I don't think he was warning anybody. He was just hanging out with breakfast. It was, um,
I don't know.
Marco.
Man, I feel like this is an episode of X Files or something.
Yeah, you know what? If I was going to do another podcast that was not about beer, it would totally be about like cryptids and kind of urban legends and things like that because I love this stuff.
There it is. There's your next podcast.
Marco
You're already doing all
completely
this stuff.
completely off topic says that a person that he works with went to King Corona the other day. He asked if they had El Sushi. Have you been to King Corona, Zach?
King Corona.
King Corona. Yes,
I have.
it's the King Corona Latin Grill in Westchester, and they have El Sushi. El Sushi. It's Latin.
Why do I feel like I
Latin
have
sushi.
been to that place?
It's
Is that the sushi?
it's
I
fairly
don't
new.
know.
Fairly new.
There's-
It opened in the last like month
Oh.
or so. Right by the movie
I
theater
have
there,
not,
and
but I do work.
you know where where the new
Regal.
the,
By Regal?
AMC I think is what it is. You know where the new Sonder is
Oh,
there?
it's AMC, okay. Yes,
It's
I do
right-
remember the
it's
new
like right
Sonder. I
across the
haven't had a
street
chance
from the
to
new
check it out
Sonder.
yet.
It's right in that little
Oh,
area
okay.
there.
Yeah, there's sometimes there's random breweries I've noticed that have been popping up. I don't know if you noticed in the 513 Craft Brew Group that there's been people posting about all these new breweries that are randomly opening up that I've not heard much about.
I mean,
And
I'm
they're, like,
probably
kinda
I'm probably the
sound
wrong person to ask because nothing is like a random new brewery for me. I've been watching all of them for.
Well, it's like
I'm
a microbrewery. Somebody talked about some microbrewery. I think it was Tom talking about some microbrewery or something he saw somewhere.
Got to give me some
And
more
it was
details.
like, oh my God, I'd have to look it up on Facebook, but I can't do it right now. I'd have to talk to you about it later.
A new microbrewery.
Um,
The newest one in town right now, I believe, would be Bocce over in Wyoming,
okay.
in Gabby's
And I
Cafe
still
there.
haven't made it out.
That's
Man,
the
there's just so many
that's
that
the
have
newest
been
one I could
popping
think of.
up. Well, I do need to check out the new Sonder, even though I don't feel like it's really going to be too much different from like
It's a
the
little bit
regular
different.
Sonder. Just
No, I mean
because-
it's a little different. The food
Okay.
is a whole different ball game there because they run the
Yeah.
food there, and I think the food
Okay.
is fantastic. And it's it's definitely a different vibe than what the Mason Tap Room is. So I mean it's definitely worth a visit. I
Well, I
think
was looking at the tap list.
you're not gonna find
So-
anything there that you can't get at the other Sonder. It's not going to be any different as far as
Gotcha.
beer goes, but I think that the vibe itself is probably kind of what it differentiates itself with, which I think is kind of part of the game now. Is that if you're going to have multiple tap rooms, you want them to have different personalities
Sure.
and to give something different that way. In my opinion, to
So
me,
I
that's
do
what
want
you
to
want.
try their cheese. I think it was their cheese curds. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
on your podcast or
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
else's podcast. They were talking about their cheese curds. I've not had them yet, but I heard they're supposed to be really good.
Oh,
there,
they're
too,
great.
so.
Absolutely. And perfect drinking food. Yeah, they're good.
And then I guess, I mean, I'm sorry. I know I keep on saying this, but I think one last place I need to visit. It's been a very long time since we're talking about breweries. Nine Giant. I haven't been to Nine Giant in a while. So they're another one of those ones that I've loved their IPAs, which I wish they distroed, but they've only done collaborations in distro. So I still need to check them out. And I think High Grain, it's either High Grain High Grain is the one brewery I've not been to yet in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
there's still been a few that I
great.
still need to hit up. So
they should have their second location opening up very soon here. High Grain, the new spot over there, Brentwood, is very, very soon.
Well, that's why I was asking you about Voodoo, because Voodoo. Well, I work at a Mason Westchester area, so I was hoping that Voodoo pops up soon because I saw where the location was for the one that's happening right now, but it's like way downtown Cincinnati, and sometimes the parking can really suck. So that's why I tend to not go to those ones as much.
It's not bad. So the Voodoo that's downtown, there is a parking lot like right across the street from where the tap room is that you can park in. I don't know. I know a lot of people kind of complain about parking at some places, and there aren't many breweries that I've had an issue parking at.
Well, the only one I can think of that Rebel Metal was the only one that had really bad air. I think that's one of the reasons why they unfortunately had to close. Like, I just feel like that location was hard to park, find places. That's just my opinion. The beer was great. I think it was Rebel Metal, I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, I Rebel Metal was down there, and I know that there were probably lots of people that complained about the parking, but it was also like the block over from the convention center, which has a garage just right there attached to it. Like, I think the bigger problem is that people don't want to walk at all. Like, and I'm okay walking like a block. I can, again, kind of going back to that thing of, if I'm drinking beer, especially, I need to walk too. Like
definitely.
I would much rather walk a block going to get my beer and then a block back to my car than not, just because I need to be a little bit active after I sit and drink the one beer that they had was like a marshmallow fluff box something or other. I mean, you got to walk a little bit. Lee wants to know.
If you're going to.
Lee wants to know if I have any news on DVD Brew opening. No, they're still working on some licensing things, so they're still waiting on a date. But they are ready to go. And there is, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they do have a beer. Their Pilsner is available at a Mexican place in Loveland. There, go to their Facebook page and you can see where it is. I can't remember the name of it, but somewhere in Loveland.
What is the name of this place? I've not heard of them.
DVD Brew over in Loveland.
DVD Brew.
Yeah, they're close.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. What is it? But since we're on, I just keep on saying, the one thing I was going to ask you now? It just popped in my head is what is your hate for dog brew? By the way. I'm just trying to remember why you didn't like it so much. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Is it dog brew?
And the hate that I have for them is just that they're a terrible company. They treat people horribly, and there's just not a great company from the top down. And you're talking about BrewDog, I assume. Right?
BrewDog. Why did I say dog brew? Oh my God, BrewDog. I don't know why I said that. I'm so sorry.
That's
BrewDog.
That's the only hatred I have, is just that there is some bad culture within the company. And
because I didn't know if it was the beer that you didn't like or how they handle things.
No, the beer's okay. It's fine. It's kind of big, kind of craft macro beer, which is fine. But no, the bigger problem I have is just with how the company is run. I think that they don't do things the right way. But and there's also like this whole thing that there's a lot of tap rooms around, a lot of bars that kind of disguise themselves as breweries that I think are purposely trying to trick people to make them think that it's a kind of a local tap room when it's not. And we're a little bit different here in Cincinnati in that the actual Brewdog Brewery, the one in the United States, is right up the street in Columbus. So it is fairly local.
Sure.
But if you can go to any city, any major city in the United States, and there's a BrewDog tap room that pretends like it's an actual brewery, and I don't like that. It feels dirty.
I guess I get what you're talking about because I do remember going to the one in Cincinnati. I've been there once, and I don't know, the food just kind of seemed overpriced to me.
Yeah.
The beer wasn't too bad. Of course, what's the Elvis one? The
Yeah,
Elvis juice or something. That was always pretty decent. But I will agree that like some of the beers were just okay. Some were okay. Some were really good, and some were just like eh. And then the atmosphere, they had some cool things, but it just seemed like it was very like overpriced food and all this other stuff. That kind of pretentious. I don't know.
A little pretentious, but I mean, just the company itself is there. It's not run by great people right now. So hopefully they get their shit together. But we'll definitely be talking about them in the next few months.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I mean,
some fun content happening.
I mean, look at Woodburn. If you look at them, you look at how they changed and how everybody
Woodburn,
had hate for what happened with them.
No, Woodburn didn't change though. Woodburn completely imploded within itself, and then another company had to come in and buy the intellectual property and the space and turn it into something else. They didn't turn themselves around. Yeah. There was no redemption from the old Woodburn. It crashed and burned and tore itself apart.
Well, I thought that's why March 1st was like, hey, we're going to take care of this. I thought that's what that was going to be, but I don't know. I don't hear much about Woodburn. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad, but I just don't hear much about them anymore.
Well, Woodburn is it's a taproom bar. It's not a brewery anymore. You know, they don't make their beer there. But with that being said, it is a great taproom bar. It's honestly one of my favorite kind of bars to hang out in because of the beer side of it, and the beer garden out back that March 1st added on is fantastic. Food there's great. You know, but it's different. It's not what the old Woodburn was. The old Woodburn was a craft brewery. You walked in and they had somehow crammed a big, 20-barrel brew house into there. I don't think it was 20. It might have been 15. But it was just a big old brewery inside this tiny little space, and like it was a fun little thing. But it failed. Woodburn killed itself.
I just feel like I missed out. I feel like I missed out on a lot of the Cincinnati brewery stuff that used to be around here. Like I used to live in Indiana, so I didn't get much to that. All I had was like Sun King and a couple other things, but I keep on hearing about that Blake Slate place and a couple other places that used to be here. Then they went out of business. I've always wanted to be like, man, I wish that stuff would come back, or I would have been around to be able to try it.
No, but
it's all good.
But there's something today that eventually will be that thing that people talk about. That like, oh, do you remember when this was here? And like, oh yeah, that was cool. Like the things that are around today won't always be here. Some of them will close for various reasons, not always because of some kind of big, failure or something. They'll just close because people get old and they want to retire and whatever. The places that are around today won't always be around, and there will be people that kind of feel that same way looking back, like kind of remembering some of those places that exist. Just enjoy what we have now because there's such good stuff. There's such good stuff happening right now.
Oh no, I know. There's so much to
the beer today is leaps and bounds better than what it was back in 2013 when people thought we were in the heyday with Mad Tree opening up and Blank Slate and running and 8 Ball and places like it's better now. Like the beer is better, the places are better, the food is better. For the love of God, the food is better. You can go to a brewery and eat dinner. It's better now.
Yeah, I think it's their hot spot at this point in time is having beer, like you said, having good food with good beer is the big thing. Because I'll be honest, the place that's in Sonder right now to me is just okay. But then you say that this new kitchen that they control, that sounds like a lot better.
The space over in Westchester, they run the kitchen. We'll see how that translates over to Mason. I think that's all I can say. But there's
hopefully you're good.
Yeah, that's kind of the new move now. You saw it with Mad Tree too, them bringing the food in house and taking control over it and taking some kind of some pride in what the food is and how it speaks to the company and who they are. And I think that's important. All right,
hopefully
Zach.
Listerman finally gets a food place. All right, well, I'm gonna let you go. So
Yep. We got to wrap things
we
up.
could talk forever. So
Yeah, the internet's gonna kick us off or something. I don't know. There's time. It's a show.
all right.
I don't know.
I am so sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your show.
No, you didn't ruin anything. You're fine. I appreciate you calling in.
No, I just love chit chatting with you. So
yeah,
it's been a while. So I'll let you go, and we'll meet up again soon, then.
Absolutely. All right. Cheers, man.
All right. Take it easy. Cheers, man.
Bye. Zach Holly, everybody. Marco points out that they once served Josh a hazy fruited beer when he wanted a double IPA. Yeah, they called it a West Coast IPA, and it was hazy and fruity and something very different. There's, the point of all of this, like, there's such good stuff happening in actual local beer right now that you don't need to worry about all the other stuff. Elijah says, I went to Brewdog once because they had a keg of Cantillon Creek. I only drank Cantillon there, and not Brewdog. I've been to Brewdog a few times. It's fine. I just don't like the company. I don't like who they are. That's all. But we will talk about all of that in the coming months. And the show topic, we didn't really even talk about at all. This Brewdog stuff. I will tell you very soon about what we're kind of planning with that, and we'll have some fun things. And there are so many projects that I'm in the middle of, like big things that I've been working on for a very long time that I'm so close to being able to kind of start talking about. That was the show topic. Is that I just. I sat down and was getting ready to. I was putting all my notes together for tonight's show, and everything I wrote down, I'm like, I can't talk about that yet. Nope, can't talk about that yet. I'm not even sure if that one's going to happen, so I can't talk about that yet. There's just lots of little things. Like, there are things that you guys do know about, like this whole relaunch of the new online store, the merch store. Like, that is so close. Like, I just need to sit down. I need like an 8-hour day to get it finished and to get all of that finalized and get it ready to post, and then we'll have the first drop of the year with that. Like, it's so close. I just need to sit down and be able to get it done. But you guys know that that's coming. That's one of those kind of projects that I'm working on. That's just the easiest one. There are some really, really big things, and some of you guys probably actually know. I've probably talked to some of you about it, but there's some fun stuff that we're working on for the fall and for the kind of the middle to end of the year that are just big projects that have been sucking way more time than I anticipated out of my life. But stay tuned for that, guys. It will not always be secret projects. Eventually, they'll just be projects that either make you really happy or disappoint you. We'll see. In the meantime, hopefully everybody... Oh, I got to get my sip count up. Hang on. There's people that count these things. All right. I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm going to guess like 3 sips is what it looks like. All right. Let's get another one here. Does that count as 1? I don't know. I think that counts as 1. I think that also counts as 1. I don't understand the logic. We'll be back next week, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Caroline says, as long as there's alcohol, you won't disappoint us. I'm going to quote you on that because... Oh, that is loud. Hang on. Oof. I can disappoint you, even with beer, I promise. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned for more episodes of things. This week, we have episode of Cincy Brewcast that just posted with Elijah, and before the start of next week, there's a Drinking with a Gnome that's getting ready to drop that I started working on in the fall. So there's that. We'll see you guys later. Thank you. Man, now I want to go to Voodoo and Brewdog all at the same time. We've also got Bachfest coming up. Go to the parade. I'm going to be at the parade. I'm going to be in the parade. And I'm going to yell at you guys.